Hello everyone and welcome back, or welcome if you are new. Mario Kart 9 has just been revealed and I am incredibly hyped for it, as is the rest of the internet. People have been making all sorts of videos of what could possibly be added or changed in this next Mario Kart game, and there are lots of great ideas out there, but something that hasn't really been touched on yet is what the next big mechanic is going to be. The past few Mario Kart games have had some sort of interesting mechanic or selling point that makes the game really unique and adds to the Mario Kart franchise. Mario Kart Wii introduced bikes, Mario Kart 7 introduced gliders, and Mario Kart 8 introduced anti-gravity sections. The latter two mechanics being something that changes the road and how you drive on it. But what is something that hasn't really been touched on in a long time in Mario Kart? What is something that has stayed pretty consistent throughout the entire Mario Kart series? That's right, the items. Some items get removed or added and buffed and nerfed in between games, but for the most part, the items have pretty much stayed the same throughout this series, except in Mario Kart Double Dash where they had special items. Special items were character-exclusive items that added a whole new layer to the game and made the game a lot more chaotic as well. For example, Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong had the giant banana item, which was just a bigger version of the banana. With this new theorized mechanic that could come to Mario Kart 9, it will take that character-specific special item idea, but do a bit more with it. Why am I showing you a clip of a bomber from Clash Royale? Well, this is no ordinary bomber, this is an evolution bomber. This guy, when he throws his bomb, it bounces 3 times, allowing it to deal damage to enemies with each bounce. But with the standard bomber, his bomb explodes straight away without any bounces. And this is the idea I want to take with these Mario Kart items. Each item in the game is going to have an evolution version or a boosted version of its normal function. I'll discuss a bit later how you can get this boosted version of an item, but for now, let's just look at an example with the banana. The boosted banana becomes the giant banana. The giant banana is an item ripped straight from Double Dash, and there are going to be a few more boosted items that are just that, items ripped straight from Double Dash. The main selling point of the giant banana is that, well, it's giant. It's a lot harder to avoid, but not only that, it will slow down Racer's cart by 75% instead of the standard 50% that the normal banana slows racers down by. This not only makes it harder to avoid, but more impactful if you do hit a racer with it. The giant banana will also split into 3 standard bananas once it's destroyed in a sort of 360-degree radius around it, just to give it even more versatility. You are allowed to hold the giant banana behind your cart, and when it's destroyed, just like normal, it will spawn 3 bananas, except these 3 will spawn in a cone shape behind your cart, so you can defend an item with the giant banana, and then you can still get use out of it because your opponent has to weave around those 3 bananas that it just spawned. The giant banana is just a strict upgrade from the standard banana, and that is the idea for all of these boosted items. They add on to the abilities that the standard item already does to either mitigate that item's weakness or just make that item a lot stronger as a whole. Now, as I talk about these boosted items, I'm actually going to have a little bar on the bottom of this screen that shows how likely this boosted item were to appear if miraculously this boosted items idea were to come in Mario Kart 9. So the giant banana is super likely to come back because we're just bringing back an item from Mario Kart Double Dash, and it's just an obvious stepping stone. But for some items, I have these crazy ideas that likely would not happen because they're a bit too outlandish. So this bar is just used to represent that. All of the items on this list are items that are in Mario Kart 8, plus the fake item box, because I could definitely see it coming back. But how are you going to get these boosted items in a race? Well, there are actually a few ideas I have. The first idea is, like in Mario Kart Double Dash, to simply make the boosted items character dependent. Donkey Kong, for example, would get the boosted banana, Mario would get the boosted fire flower, and etc, etc. But the cons with this idea is that you have to use that specific character if you want to get that specific boosted item. You might not like the character associated with the item, or the character might just have really bad stats that don't synergize with the boosted item that character has. So another idea I had was to simply make it so that you can choose which items are boosted before you go into a race. So you can select, for example, I want the banana and the green shell to be boosted. So when you go into a race and you were to get a banana or green shell, it would be the boosted variant. The problem with this idea is that everyone would just choose the same boosted items, the ones that are the most powerful. And despite giving players a choice on which boosted items they want, it will actually limit the amount of boosted items that are used because everyone might just use the best ones. And it will also force you to do a certain strategy. For example, if you choose a boosted power item, if you want to actually get use out of that power item, you would basically have to bag. So character-dependent items and being able to choose your own boosted items might not be the best idea. So how about just having a random assortment of items on the track be boosted item boxes? Like in Mario Kart 8, how some item boxes are designated to be double item boxes, there could be some item boxes that look a bit different and give you a boosted version of a standard item. This could actually be this weird orange glowing sort of item here in the Mario Kart 9 trailer. My final idea for getting boosted items is if you have a item in your slot and you hit an item box and you get the same item, for example, you get 2 bananas, they will actually combine and then you get the boosted version of the banana in your inventory. This is really interesting because it adds a new layer to item management in Mario Kart. But some boosted items might be just impossible to get. Like, you would not be able to get the boosted lightning because you first of all have to get the lightning bolt and then you have to keep it until you happen to get another lightning bolt in an item box, in which they will finally turn into the boosted version. At that point, you might as well have just used the base lightning bolt. So this idea is really cool for the items, near the front, but it would just not work for the power items that you get in the back. There's a lot of ways they could implement this boosted item mechanic into the game. I do think that making some item boxes boosted variants is probably just the best way to do it though. So with that sorted and out of the way, let's get to the rest of the items and see what their boosted variants do. Starting off with the green shell, this item becomes the Bowser shell. The Bowser shell also comes from Mario Kart Double Dash and is also just a bigger version of the green shell. The Bowser shell is able to pierce through items, allowing it to hit racers that are trying to defend themselves, and it's even able to pierce through multiple racers as well. The Bowser shell also lasts a lot longer and can bounce a lot more times before it disappears. This is a pretty big buff to the green shell, allowing it to hit racers that are even defending themselves, so maybe the Bowser shell wouldn't be as big as it is depicted in Mario Kart Double Dash. And let's just get all the shells out of the way now. The boosted red shell becomes the black shell. The black shell is much faster than the red shell, and it explodes on impact, referencing the Koopas from Super Mario Land where their shells explode once they die. Because the black shell explodes, it's a lot harder to defend this item. If it hits an item that you are trailing with, it will blow up and just hit you anyway, similar to if you try to defend with a Bob-Omb. But if you drop the item at just the right time, you are able to intercept the black shell and still get away scot-free. Because of this weakness, I like to imagine when the black shell is coming for you, the reticle that appears on the bottom of your screen only appears for probably just 1 second before it actually strikes into you. This eliminates the red shell's weakness of the opponent having a lot of defensive items on them at all times, but it still allows the player who's being targeted by the red shell to defend themselves. It's just a lot harder to do so. The boosted blue shell becomes the spiny glider. The main problem with the blue shell in Mario Kart is that it doesn't really benefit the person that used the blue shell. Yes, in recent Mario Kart games, it slides along the ground instead of flying, so you can potentially hit a racer directly in front of you, but that's a small advantage that it gives. The boosted variant of the blue shell, however, gives a big advantage to the player that uses it, because when they use the spiny glider, they will grab onto the glider's bar and actually fly with it across all of the other racers 75% of the way up to first place. I imagine this works because it finds a point between you and the person in first place. It takes the 75% marker between you guys, and then it will fly you super fast to that point, dropping you off, and then it will finish its journey by striking the player in first place. Maybe this item could also be immune to the super horn or even mushrooms, and the only way to avoid this version of the blue shell is with a boosted mushroom or a boosted super horn. This would benefit you if first place is super far ahead because it would fly you a lot more, but it would benefit you less if the pack is really close and first is really close by. Maybe while you are gliding on the spiny glider, you could even throw down mini blue shell bombs or something on racers below you to give you even more of an advantage. The boosted mushroom becomes the burst mushroom. I would imagine this would be like the signature boosted item for Mario Kart 9, the one that they use to sort of introduce the boosted mechanic to the player. So the boosted boost mushroom has a pretty standard concept. While you are using the mushroom, it leaves a trail of fire in your path. This fire trail spins opposing racers out if they manage to hit it. It allows you to automatically block off shortcuts with the trail of fire, or if you run into someone, it even spins them out. Maybe you can even take their item if you boost into them. The boosted Bob-Omb becomes the coin Bob-Omb. The coin Bob-Omb works just like the normal Bob-Omb where you can throw it or put it behind you, but when it explodes, the racers that are struck, 3 of their coins will automatically jump into your inventory. Not only that, but it will leave a sort of golden trail on the track, and if anyone drives into that trail, they will be slightly slowed down, and maybe a few of their coins will be taken from them and automatically put into your inventory while they're driving over it. This, I think, is a much more interesting idea than making the Bob-Omb bigger or just leaving a big trail of fire in its wake. Reason being, you likely don't have many coins if you're in the pack, which is when you typically get Bob-Ombs, so this is a great way to heavily increase your coin count and keep a lead when you pass those struck racers. The boosted fake item box becomes the fib phalanx. This is our first pretty outlandish idea as evident by the likelihood bar. When you hold this item behind you, there will be 3 fake item boxes that follow behind your cart. However, they won't actually change direction depending on where you move. They will just follow behind your cart while keeping the same distance between themselves in the middle of the track. This provides a moving obstacle that opponents have to drive by if they want to get past you. It also makes sense because it's turning the fake item box into a moving fake item set. The main problem with this idea is that what would happen if there's a split path in the road? How would the fake item boxes split up to, account for both paths? And what if there's a shortcut that you take? Maybe it would just be better if the fake item boxes do move along with your cart, but they still keep the same distance between themselves. That would actually probably be the best way to go about it. The boosted Piranha Plant becomes the Fire Piranha Plant. Not only is this a very logical upgrade idea-wise, normal Piranha Plant to Fire Piranha Plant, but it's a very logical upgrade gameplay-wise as well. To get the most value out of the Piranha Plant, you want to have other racers close to you so it can bite them and then give you a big boost. The Fire Piranha Plant, whenever it lunges forward, it will shoot a fireball out of its mouth akin to the Fire Flower, which can slow down racers once it strikes them, and then they get close to the Piranha Plant's mouth, in which the Piranha Plant eats them. This gives the Piranha Plant a long range attack to hit racers that are really far ahead of you, which is the main downside to the base Piranha Plant. Now in Mario Kart 8, they introduced invincibility frames, where if you get hit by an item, you can't get hit by another one after a little while. But these Fire Piranha Plant fireballs won't have that invincibility feature. That way you can combo the fireball into the bite from the Piranha Plant. I honestly like Mario Kart a lot more without invincibility frames. Being able to combo someone just like 5 times or being comboed is very annoying, but honestly, it's a lot of fun, and it just makes Mario Kart Mario Kart. So with this theoretical idea, invincibility frames just won't be in the next Mario Kart. The boosted coin becomes the purple coin. People are very annoyed with the coin item in Mario Kart 8. But if this item had to come back in the next Mario Kart game, this would be a nice boost to give it, albeit maybe a bit broken. Instead of the purple coin just giving you like 5 coins when you use it, the purple coin actually increases your maximum coin count from 10 to 12, and then if you use another one, it could go to 14, then 16, then 18, as well as giving you just 3 coins. This could be really overpowered because having 12 coins means you have a 12% speed boost, but with the more coins you have, the harder it is to keep, so you might not actually be at that new limit as much, and you have to get the purple coin in the first place, which might take a while. So overall, I think it would balance out. The boosted Super Horn becomes the Mega Horn. This is, I would say, probably the most boring upgrade that I came up with. The Mega Horn simply just has 3 charges, so you can use the Super Horn ability 3 times. But sometimes the simplest idea is just the best idea. But a buff for the Mega Horn and even the Super Horn that could be good in this game is that if you use the Super Horn when you are around a set of item boxes, those item boxes will be stunned, and they won't actually respawn until a little while after their standard respawn time. And with the Mega Horn, you can do this 3 times with 3 different item sets to really stop the players directly behind you from getting a offensive item. This could even be used to delay the respawn of a boosted item box, even preventing your opponents close behind you from using those. The boosted Boo becomes the Booier Boo. Okay, I actually don't have a name for this one yet, because this is just an original idea. Stupid name aside, I'm sure there are obviously much better names. It's just the first one I thought of. The boosted Boo, whenever it steals an item from an opposing racer, that item automatically becomes the boosted version of itself. So let's say you steal a banana from the player in first, it becomes the giant banana once it enters your inventory. It still makes you invisible, allowing you to dodge shocks and other items, but it will also make the item in your inventory that it just stole invisible. This means that when your invisibility runs out, if you do happen to get shocked afterward, the item in your inventory won't get affected because it's invisible in your inventory. It also won't show you holding the item like you do in Mario Kart 8, so a racer could be driving behind you and see, oh, he doesn't have an item in his hand, I'm perfectly fine to just drive behind him, and then all of a sudden, bam, giant banana straight in their face. But what if the boosted boo steals an already boosted item? Well then, it becomes a double boosted item, and here is the list of all of the double boosted items. The design for the Boo Your Boo is actually an original idea from me. A lot of these boosted versions of some items are just completely original creations, so I had to think of how I could make a good upgraded version of an already existing item. For this one, I just made the Boo a little bit more purple and gave him King Boo's eyes from Luigi's Mansion. The boosted Blooper becomes the Jester Blooper. There are lots of ideas you could take with a boosted Blooper. I mean, all the Blooper does is splat your screen with ink, so all we really have to do is take that to the next level. You could have the Blooper also flip the screen around, you could have the Blooper flip it horizontally, you could even have it slow down racers a substantial amount, or, you know, make their screen all wavy and stuff like that. There's so many ideas that you could take, so why not do all of them? When the Jester Blooper hits your screen, one random effect of the effects that I just listed will happen, including a bunch of other effects that I'm sure the devs could come up with. Yes, this does just make an already annoying item even more annoying, but you have to keep in mind, you're probably only going to see the boosted Blooper once every 2 races, because boosted items are a lot rarer to get than normal items. And that goes for all of the boosted items on this list as well. The Jester Blooper is another original creation of mine, and the idea behind it is basically if the Blooper had a Wonder Flower variant of itself from Super Mario Bros. Wonder. And all the colors and like dots around it just represent the zany nature of this item. Alright, we're about halfway through these boosted items. Let's take a little break and talk about something else that could be added to Mario Kart 9 that people have wanted for a while. A new mission/story mode. Don't worry, I'm gonna relate this back to boosted items in just a bit, but people have been clamoring for a new mission mode for a while now, so why not turn that into a sort of story mode and introduce a new main villain to the Mario series, similar to that one alien guy in Crash Team Racing that I always forget the name of. So with a story mode, what could be the, new main villain? Is it just gonna be a new character as a whole? Well, how about a character that complements this boosted items idea? How about Booster from Super Mario RPG? Booster is a villain from this game who has a really unique and interesting design and would be perfect to bring back to the modern era in a new way. That new way being through a Mario Kart game. Making the villain this new character still allows people to use villains like Bowser through the story mode playthrough, because if Bowser was just the main villain of this Mario Kart game, first of all, that would be boring. Second of all, you wouldn't be able to use Bowser throughout the story mode if you really like playing as him. And Booster's name perfectly fits with the boosted item mechanic as a whole, so it's just a perfect combination. And with bringing Booster back from Super Mario RPG into the modern era, we could bring even more Super Mario RPG characters into the modern era, like Geno or Mallow or even a few others, to the Mario Kart roster. The Mario Kart roster has basically been perfected at this point. I don't know who else they could possibly add to the roster that would make people really excited. So just grabbing some deep cuts from some old games and justifying it by making one of those deep cuts the main villain is a perfect way to expand the roster in a new way. I think it's just a perfect way to introduce a story mode, bring back some fan favorite characters, and relate it to the main mechanic that this game is based on. Maybe during like the final fight when you are racing between yourself and Booster, there will be like only boosted items during that race or something. It would just be like absolutely chaotic. Next up, the boosted Fire Flower becomes the Ice Flower. This works the exact same way as the Fire Flower, and when a racer is struck, the wheels are encased in ice, and it makes it a lot harder for them to turn their vehicle. Sort of like a much stronger version of the Blueprint. This, interestingly enough, actually makes the traction stat more useful. The traction stat just makes it easier to drive on roads that aren't standard roads like ice or sand, for example. So introducing an item that makes it so racers are driving as if they were on ice actually makes the stat a bit more useful. The boosted Boomerang Flower becomes Cappy. This is definitely the most ambitious idea on this list. The Boomerang Flower gets completely switched up in its boosted form if you manage to hit a racer with Cappy. I actually have a few ideas for what could happen next. Idea number one is that you completely take control of the racer that you just hit, and then your racer and cart sort of disappear from the map while this is happening. You now control the racer and their vehicle, and after a limited amount of time of driving their vehicle, you pop out in your vehicle and then start driving forward. And maybe the racer that you just popped out of is spun out. The problem with this idea is that it's really annoying if you are driving and you happen to get possessed by Cappy, and now you're just sitting there doing nothing as you're watching the person who's possessed you basically just drive for you. So it makes it really unfun for the person who is being possessed. So the second idea I had is that you simply don't possess people at all. Once you throw the cap at someone and it hits that person, you simply teleport to their position, and then you can do this 3 times to sort of link 3 people together so that you can teleport to this person, and then teleport to the last person to get a big boost ahead. And then the last idea I had is similar to the first one, where you possess somebody, except they can still control their cart. It's you who's the one that isn't doing anything. You are just simply sitting there while your opponent has Cappy above their head. Maybe they can't see that, so if you're doing an online race, they can't see Cappy is above their head, so they think they're just, driving normally. But after a certain amount of time, you can pop out of that racer and surprise them, and so then they spin out. This is useful for if you see someone ahead of you who has like a star or a mushroom or something. You can throw the cap to possess them. They use that power item to, boost ahead or do a shortcut. And then right when they're about to finish the shortcut, you pop out of them so they mess it up. You finish it off and then you continue driving. There's a lot of ways that this Cappy idea could go. And I feel like any direction they go with this Cappy idea, it might be super overpowered or super annoying. But hey, Mario Kart is all about the chaos. And this item is as chaotic as it gets. Now we have reached the power items. Power items like the Golden Mushroom, Shock, Bullet Bill, and Lightning are already really strong and are basically like boosted items in of themselves. But who cares? Let's make them even stronger in their boosted forms. The boosted star becomes the Pink Star. The Pink Star is a reference to a Double Dash item, that being the heart. In Double Dash, the heart item was exclusive to Peach and Daisy, and it would surround your cart in a spinning heart. Whenever you run into an item while this heart is spinning, the item would pop out of the ground and into your inventory for you to use. So the Pink Star is just going to be that same idea. While you are invincible, if you run into an item on the ground, or even if you hit a racer, you could steal that item off of the ground / the racer to give yourself even more of an advantage. The boosted Gold Mushroom becomes the Godly Mushroom. This is definitely the worst idea on this list. The Godly Mushroom provides an infinite boost. Once you use the Godly Mushroom for the first time, Lakitu might come down, or a little thing will appear that says don't slow down, because if you slow down in any way while this boost is happening, you lose the mushroom. Whether that be through breaking or hitting an item or hitting a wall, any way of slowing down that isn't through the boost itself dissipating, the item will be removed from your inventory. The reason this is a really bad upgrade is because it really encourages you to smuggle this item up to first place and then use it in first, where you are completely safe from the pack. Or if you use it while you are in the pack, which is where you're going to be getting this item, you might just be hit right away, losing the gold mushroom immediately, and then you were like, oh, I wish I just had the normal golden mushroom so I could at least get a boost after I got hit. So more times than not, it might be a strict downgrade from the standard gold mushroom. This is one of those ideas that's least likely to happen, but if we wanted a more likely idea, we could just have the golden mushroom leave a trail of fire just like the standard mushroom whenever you use it. Or it could even add a coin to your inventory whenever you use it, and it could be called coin gold mushroom or something. The boosted Lightning becomes the Thundercloud. Now this is not going to work the same way it does in Mario Kart Wii. You're not just going to get a boosted Lightning and then Thundercloud pops above your head and then you're the only one who gets struck. The Lightning item is essentially a boosted item in of itself already. It strikes every single racer, making them lose their items, allowing you to drive ahead of them. So how could we possibly make it even stronger? Well, how about we just make it strike twice? The thundercloud, when you use it, strikes all opponents on the map, and then a thundercloud appears above their heads. If a thunderclouded racer strikes another thunderclouded racer with their cart, both of the thunderclouds will disappear from them. But if a thunderclouded racer strikes a racer without a thundercloud, the thundercloud will be transferred to that racer, and then it will shock them again after a period of time. Just like in Mario Kart Wii. This actually benefits people who are in the pack, which is something an item doesn't really do in Mario Kart, because it allows them to bump into each other and get rid of their thunderclouds really fast. But it's really detrimental to the person in first place, because not only are they shocked for a longer period of time because they're in first, but they don't have any teammates around them to transfer or lose the thundercloud to, so they're just going to get struck again as soon as their timer runs out. So this double shock benefits the people in the back more, and is more detrimental to the people in first, so it really closes the gap between the racers. The boosted bullet bill becomes the blazer bill. The blazer bill works the exact same as the bullet bill, except similarly to the burst mushroom, it will leave a trail of fire in its wake. What's interesting about this is that it splits the racetrack in half. The bullet bill flies through the middle of the track, and so the trail of fire separates the track into two. So if you want to get to one side of the track, you're going to have to, go through the trail of fire and get spun out. I like to imagine that the blazer bill, because of the fire shooting out of the backside of it, goes a little bit faster, so it can get more distance off of the normal bullet bill. So those are all of the single items covered, but we still have a few items left, those being the triple variants of some items. Triple mushrooms, green shells, red shells, and bananas. Their boosted forms could just be the single items version of the boosted form, except you just have 3 of them. But with green shells and bananas, that might be a little bit crazy, because then you would be getting 3 giant bananas and 3 Bowser shells. Like, can you imagine 3 Bowser shells circling around a racer? You literally would not be able to hit them at all. So I kept the triple mushrooms and the triple red shells the same when you boost them. You just get 3 of the boosted version. But with the triple bananas and the triple green shells, I made a different boosted version of themselves, so the triple bananas become the banana bunch. The banana bunch is actually an item from Mario Kart 64, and that's where the inspiration of this item came from. Similarly to in Mario Kart 64, this item is able to soak up 5 hits before you are finally left vulnerable. But instead of just leaving a long trail of bananas behind you like in Mario Kart 64, it just leaves one bunch of bananas behind your cart that each lose a banana when a hit is taken. But a bonus thing that this item does is that whenever you get a successful orange mini turbo, a banana is dropped where you let go of the mini turbo. But a banana is not lost from the bunch when you do this trick. So when you're holding this item behind you, you want to get as many super mini turbos as you can so that you can automatically leave bananas behind you without actually wasting any of your bananas in the bunch. You can still use bananas in the bunch by tapping the item button, but that will use up one of the 5 bananas in the bunch. So not only is this an incredibly good defensive item because it can soak up 5 hits, but it also leaves automatic obstacles on the track, making it harder for your opponents to catch you. This might be a bit overpowered, so I can totally see it being limited to only 3 bananas in the bunch though. Ooh, maybe when you get a purple mini turbo, it will leave like a line of bananas, depending on how long the mini turbo was. That, you know what? Yeah, that could be a thing that it does as well. And finally, the boosted triple greens turns into the shell cannon. The shell cannon is a cannon that is attached to the front of your cart and puts a green shell as ammo in the front of it. This actually acts as a defense from backspam if you were to get hit from the front. There will also be 2 green shells that circle around your cart while this is active, and you have 5 green shells in total, similar to the 5 bananas that the boosted triple bananas give you. When you use a green shell with the cannon, it will automatically lock on to a target that is nearby and then shoot the green shell in that direction. So it basically makes sniping racers automatic. Unlike a red shell, however, where it just keeps tracking the racer as they go along, this just puts a reticle on where the racer is and then shoots the green shell at that reticle. So it doesn't keep following the racer as they go along, it just targets them from where they are. I imagine the cone for this would be a little bit less than 90 degrees. This way you can snipe people even next to you. And as you use these green shells for ammo, if you only have 2 left, One green shell is put in the chamber, and then only one is circling around you. When you only have one left, there's only one green shell in the chamber. Both of these ideas are basically just quintuple green shells and quintuple bananas, but with a bonus little thing added, because the green shells can snipe things easier and the bananas can automatically lay one if you get a mini turbo with them. And that is my idea for Mario Kart 9's next big mechanic. It changes up something that hasn't been changed in a while, and if you don't end up liking the boosted mechanic, well, I'm sure there's a way that you could turn it off in the settings. Obviously, a lot of these ideas could be changed around a bit, but even if this idea doesn't happen, it's fun to theorize anyway. Let me know what you guys thought about this idea, if it is a great idea or if it absolutely just butchers Mario Kart. And let me know if I had a bad idea for a boosted item that you would like to see something else instead. I'd love to discuss in the comments about what you guys think about this, because I think it would be a perfect addition to the next Mario Kart game. But it likely would only happen for one Mario Kart game because this is a pretty big change. But with that, have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you in the next Nasu Nanu video.